So, hi, my name is Vera, and you heard the lovely introduction. You'll hear a little bit more of that in a minute. And I am astonished to be here because I never thought I would be, and I am glad. This morning, I attended my regular worship service, and one of the readings really caught my attention. So I'm going to start with that, and then I'm going to go to the speech I worked on until 3 this morning because I was terrified. Be kind.
Okay.
Everyone's like, you'll be fine, and I'm like, yeah, but it's the first time. I've got performance anxiety. So anyway, this morning at church we had a reading. I'm Christian, and we had a reading from Revelations that I thought applied because you guys are so open. But it was talking about the garden in the kingdom when we go beyond. But it says, on the other side of the river is the tree of life with its 12 kinds of fruit, producing its fruit each month. And the leaves of the tree are for the healing of the nations. Nothing accursed will be found there anymore. And I thought of what little I knew of this community and how it is a house and how you have all of these leaves that are so different, and yet you're constantly bringing healing to those who are here. And so I just felt like that was something I needed to start with. So thank you for having me here, both virtually. I don't see many faces, so people are hiding. I would love if you would turn on your cameras, but I understand if you don't. So when Ken came to me at the Awaken Expo, he said, hey, I really liked what you had to say about dowsing. And I had no idea what you said. And I said, oh, okay, well, that's kind of cool. He said, I'd like you to speak for us. I need to know a little bit about your spiritual journey, a little bit about your esoteric journey, maybe 5 minutes or so. And then I want you to talk about dowsing. So I wrote something and I gave it to my friends and they reviewed it. And then I tore it completely apart and wrote something new. And hopefully you enjoy my journey. There may be a little bit of oversharing, but if you listen for the theme, it does play into how my life has come to this point. Okay. Speaking on my spiritual journey with a focus on esoteric gifts was an interesting challenge. Fortunately for me, I'm taking a 4-year course through my home church, Church of the Holy Spirit in Harleysville, called Education for Ministry. And every year we write a spiritual autobiography on one of 4 rotating topics. And that's the foundation of where I built this talk. So let's go. I honestly don't remember a time when I wasn't interested in the spiritual. My first memory of church is watching a tall, slender elder walk across the foyer of our building in full black worship garments, carrying a book and headed for the education wing. I distinctly remember thinking, I want to be like that someday. And I think I was in like 1st grade when that happened. The next memory I have is of a friend asking me to attend Bible school in the summer of like 3rd grade. And I discovered the power, and I did that. And then I discovered the power of my smile. My mom tells me that I smiled to a neighbor when she was having a really bad day. And the neighbor then said that it completely changed her focus. And after that, I was like, oh, smiles are good. And so I was like, every time I saw her, I was like, hi, smile. Later on, and this is not the right one, holy cow. Later on, sorry. I thought I had one that had a different ending. Well, we'll just go with it. This isn't the one that I decided to do for today. Anyway, 3rd grade power of smile. we'll just start from there. So in church, oh, I know. Later on, I heard of a gentleman who had said something about smiling to all the people he met. His girlfriend was like, why are you doing that? And he was like, well, you never know what kind of day people have. And so I try to prevent suicide and other dark things by smiling at them, because it may make a difference. And he did that. So in church and throughout that particular time period, you did the normal things for a boomer community. I was in choir. I went to Sunday school. I did the teen youth group things. I did all of those normal things, culminating in confirmation my senior year. And then I went into marriage and family. And with my children, I gained a husband. Well, I mean, I gained the husband and then the children. And I believe that, you know, you're going to follow the faith of your husband. Well, husband number one, we were in the military, was a Baptist, Southern Baptist. So I went through confirmation, I did my adult baptism. And during that process, the pastor said, you know, you're one of the true few true seekers that I've really met. Everyone else, they're kind of just going through the steps, but you're really seeking. It's refreshing, you know. And then being a military marriage, he left the military and found a civilian wife. Third husband was Episcopal when he was near his father's church, Methodist when he was near his mother's church. And I did those rituals as well. Third husband was pagan. So I learned about fairy Wicca. I learned about Asatru. I learned about all of the various different denominations of the pagan faith. And during all of these conversations, the pagan ones particularly, I was able to explore those things the Christian church doesn't usually talk about. I could see and feel the spirits from beyond. I had a way of hugging people that made people feel better. When I was doing massage with people, I was doing long-lasting healing with them. I heard about Reiki, which was coming about at that time. And so I took this Reiki class. And then I was in another state and another group of people, and I took that Reiki class. I think I've taken about 6 overall, levels 1, 2, and 3. And a couple of times I've taken the whole thread with any one particular master. And that has really helped me gain control over my gift and my ability. And at one point I was victim of a psychic vampire, and I learned how to protect against that. And I don't know if I would be here if I hadn't had all of those exposures and interactions with all of those different people. So while I'm this lovely color of cherry, because I'm a little bit embarrassed to admit I've been married and divorced 3 times due to the military, I think it really is a part of my journey in spirit because of everything I was exposed to. So why I would think I was, and I'm having to recreate this because this is not the one I was talking to, why I was drawn to spirit, I think has to do with those esoteric gifts I just mentioned, right? There is an element of being in touch with spirit in each of the gifts. A smile is such a beautiful thing. It's cheap. You can give it to anybody. And it's rare, if you smile at someone, for them to not have at least a lifting of the face, right? You feel people feel good. Hugs, I love doing hugs. People love my hugs, right? And then I started getting involved in Reiki and looking at spirit talk, which is what I call talking to those on the other side. And then, you know, more and more into various different oracle cards. And the more I got in that community, the more I started hearing from people, oh, you give Reiki hugs. And I thought, oh, is that what? I just thought it felt good, right? You know, you give a hug, you get a hug. And if you're in a bad mood, you smile and give someone a hug and they turn your frown upside down and they have, right? So hugs for me are real important. And I actually have a subtle hug ministry at my church. Me and there's another gentleman who does hugs. And if we're seeing someone who has a bad day, we'll go and talk to them a little bit. And then, would you like a hug? Okay, we give each other hugs and it feels good. So I actually have an open hug policy. If you feel like you need a hug, regardless of how I look, you can come and ask. And we hug each other. It can take as long as you want, the longer the better. Sometimes I have to educate people. Your heart is on your left side. And a lot of us, we hug to the right. And that's very self-protective, because if you hug to the left, your heart touches their heart. And your hearts will begin over time to be in sync with one another. So if you are in a really good, calm mood and you are hugging someone who isn't, you can physically manifest for them a better mood. You can calm their heartbeat. You can share your joy and your calm. And that's a very subtle way of helping that person without them realizing it, which is very helpful when you meet other people like me who are hard-headed and determined not to share their pain with the world, right? It's kind of a, I don't know, it's love in a different way. And then there's my Reiki. I honestly don't think my personal gift is Reiki, but people understand that word. And people are skeptical of whatever energy you are sharing unless you have a safe name. And so I have learned and practiced the safe name of Reiki. I have also learned integrative energy therapy, which is another method of using subtle energies to affect a person and help pull out some of the darkness. And that I don't practice all that often, but I've integrated it into my personal Reiki process. My church has a ministry, one during communion every Sunday. There's 2 people, 2 chairs. You get done receiving communion, you can come sit down in the chair. Hi, what are you working on today? And you can receive a nice little 5-minute session on Reiki. And so I've had a chance to practice. When my kids were young, I was part of a historical reenactment group. And all you have to do is be talking to it. I feel like I need to, do you want a massage? Right? You know, you sit there and you give them a little massage. It's got the Reiki touch and you're helping settle them. And then as I learned a little bit more, I could be a little more directive, and it fed my soul and helped them. And it was wonderful. But then my kids grew up and I left the group. So having a church group is really helpful for me. So I'm going along, and in this group, I'm having conversations with people, and we're talking about like private stuff. And this is all happening during the healing touch session, and really like personal stuff. And I'm like, oh my God. And so we have this conversation and they go off. Sometimes I see them, sometimes I don't. But when I do see them, they're like, oh my God, that conversation we had, it changed my life. I am so happy, you know, that I met you, and I wanted you to know that you had this impact and this is how it turned out. I'm like, what's your name again? Because so many people, I was having all these conversations and I thought, man, if I could do this for a living, man, I would not have to worry about paying the bills. And so it went for a long time. And then I was at an expo and I mentioned it to someone and they said, you need to go talk to so-and-so. And I went and I was talking to so-and-so and they're like, no, you need to talk so-and-so about so-and-so. And I did. And so now I have a mentor who is helping me take this gift of listening to people and seeing where they might need to be nudged, become better people, to develop it into a spiritual counseling practice. One of the tools she uses to help you develop your intuition is dowsing, because you're listening and you're using that gift. In one of my previous teachers, I had taken a dowsing class, so I was a little bit familiar with it. However, I hadn't really thought of it as very useful, but evidently I learned quite a bit. So dowsing is when you use a tool such as a Y rod, an L rod, your body, a pendulum. There are a couple of other ways to intuitively discover the location of something or to listen for answers from beyond. As far as the location dowsing, you can use it to find water. Many people know of dowsing through water witching, so to speak. You can also use it to find minerals. You can use it to find other anything, really. So if you were at the house and you lost your keys, you could use dowsing to find them. And you could do it without any tools, using your body. I'll have an exercise of that in just a minute. But finding water, mineral companies have dowsers on staff who they send plots of land to, and they'll be like, which one has the best bang for the buck? And they'll douse which one has the best mineral deposits and about where they should go spend the money for LiDAR to find it, right? And then a lot of police departments will use it for missing persons or where are the bad guys. During Vietnam, a lot of the soldiers used it for the same thing. Where are the bad guys? Where are the tunnels? Where are they hiding things that we need to find? I mean, who'd have thought? I certainly didn't. What was the other one that I found when I was looking? Was corporations, the military, the police department, and there was another one beyond ourselves. I forget. I will remember probably when I'm asleep tonight. That's how it is. Oh, and then you have spirit dowsing. So in the paranormal field, a lot of times people will use it to listen to answers from spirit, right? So you have your dowsing rod and you're like, spirit, are you present? Yes. Am I talking to this spirit? Yes. Am I talking to that spirit? Yes, whatever. Where are you in relation to me? And you might have the dowsing rods move. So there is that aspect of it. There's also dowsing rods are also, I meant pendulums. Pendulums are another method beyond dowsing rods. So if you go to a healer and they're checking your chakras out, they might use a dowsing rod, yes or no. I mean, a pendulum, yes or no. So pendulums and dowsing rods are all connected. Okay, that was a little bit of a non sequitur. So let's do that thing with testing you as dowsing rod. Friend of mine uses it to find food at the grocery store. So let's pretend we're at the grocery store. Stand as you are able or sit and take your hands and put them in the prayer position. And then you want your hands in front of you with your arms about a 90-degree. There you go. Good. So we're going to close our eyes and we're going to say, will I have dessert with my lunch? And you're going to listen for whether your hands are going to go up or down for you. All right, hands point. There you go. All right, so let's take a breath and release it and ask, will I have dessert with my lunch? Did you pay attention to your body? Did you go up or down? If you went up, bring your hands up. If you went down, bring your hands down. Okay. So if you went up, you're probably having lunch with dessert with your lunch. And if they went down, you're probably not. Okay. Another way to do it is to hold food at you. So pretend you're holding your favorite snack at your chest. Now, we're going to assume front and back is yes, and left and right is no. Is my favorite snack healthy for my body? And then listen to how your body may move. Okay. Did anybody hear a yes? Okay. How many people heard that your favorite snack is not positive for you? Oh, I see some smiles. My favorite snack is not good for me either. Yeah. Well, everybody, that's a good question. Everybody is different. I program myself forward and back is yes, and left. Okay, so you had your snack is good for you. And I program left and right is no, because that's my thing. But when I'm giving this talk with my friend, for Dowsing, I'm yes, and he's and no. However, he is yes and no. So part of what you can sit down. Part of what you do when you set things up with Dowsing is to figure out what your yes and no are, right? So you'll take whatever you're doing and you'll say, might say, okay, for me today, what is yes? And then you'll listen to your body. For me, you can see I'm moving forward and backwards. And then you'll say, what is no? And for me, it's a no. And I'm making it really obvious so you can see it. It's a lot more subtle. When you're using a pendulum, it may be clockwise for yes and counterclockwise for no, unless you're using one of those little pads where you need to go in slots. But if you are hearing words instead of feeling them in your body, that just means you have a different gift. You can still use the same technique.